All episodes of the Real Women in Business podcast reflect the opinions and views of the guest and cast McCrory and do not reflect official policy or position of employers or clients. Thank you.
You're listening to the Real Women in Business podcast. I'm your host, Cass McCrory, and in this podcast, we highlight women in all kinds of businesses. For yourself, someone else, full-time, part-time, overtime hustle, together we will learn from and with one another. And if we get it right, it'll lift us all. Let's get into it.
Friends, today we talked to Danielle Raymo. She's the owner and operator of Rochester Brainery, co-founder of Upstate Social. And in this wide-ranging conversation, we talk about how it feels to wear so many hats, how she tactically manages all of these different responsibilities, and how she still gets a whole lot done. You're not going to want to miss this one from a productivity and also a focus standpoint. Danielle shares some really great resources so that you can be the best supportive social media presence for your brand or your company. This is a really great episode. Let's dive in. Danielle, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you on.
Thank you for asking me to come on.
I feel like I have been looking to you and really grateful for you and what you've created here in Rochester. And I'd love for you to share the work that you do with our audience.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what it is that you get to do.
Sure. So pretty much everything I do is connecting people in some way, shape, or form. So whether it's connecting people to share ideas, to learn something new, to open up a new opportunity for collaboration, it's all about really bringing the community together in an educational type way to learn from each other. So I'm the co-founder of Rochester Brainery, and we're a community classroom and event space. We do a lot of different things, but most people know us because we offer up to 70 classes a month on all different kinds of topics. And then we also rent our space for bridal showers, baby showers, birthday parties, things like that, which is always fun when we get to incorporate one of our classes into that kind of event. And then I also co-founded Upstate Social Sessions, which is a social media marketing conference here in Rochester. And kind of along the same vein as Rochester Brainery is all about really utilizing the knowledge of people in the community to kind of give others opportunity to grow, and in this case, make their social media even better and more impactful for their business. We also bring in national speakers for that conference as well, but definitely, have more of a regional type focus to that conference. We have a lot of really cool people doing cool things here, and I just try and create opportunities for people to share those in lots of different ways.
I love that you do this, and I love how you started. I wanted to talk about that because I feel like it was right around when Lexi and I moved back to Rochester. So we had been living in New York. We moved back, I think it was 8 years ago.
And we started 6.5 years ago, so that's just about right.
Yeah, right. So it was right in that window. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I love how this is creating space for really great learning. And not just for kids, which is what we see a lot. So much in Rochester is focused on the family. But this is for adults. This is saying, hey, as an adult, you can and are empowered to learn anything that sparks your curiosity. How did you get to a place of saying, this inspires me, I need to create this?
Well, for me, Rochester Brainery is kind of a culmination of all of my interests. So my background is in events, my background is in marketing, and I am marketing 70 plus events a month. So that is very fun for me. But even further to that, I found a real passion of mine was giving people the opportunity to connect in really unique ways. And I do really like education as well. For one semester in college, I went to school for education. and I really hand it to anyone who is a teacher. It takes some hard work and dedication. And I kind of found out that that wasn't 100% for me, but I still really liked education though. It just wasn't the best fit. And this is such a great way for me to tie in that interest in doing education in a completely different way, but also bringing in those other passions in me for, marketing and putting on events and things like that. So, kind of this whole business model was a culmination of all of my different interests. It's provided a really good opportunity. Kind of the second part to that was when I was starting Rochester Brainery. I was living in New York City at the time, looking to move back to Rochester, paying back student loans, all that kind of a thing. And I was really personally looking for, things that I could do for fun that wouldn't take up a lot of time, because I did not have a lot of that, or a lot of money, because I did not have a lot of that extra to go around either. And I really wanted to not just have, going out to a drink or going out to dinner be the default, which are great things to do. But it's nice to switch it up every once in a while. So, I kind of thought that what a unique opportunity for, to go and do something that isn't too expensive, to learn something new, to maybe make a craft and only spend 1 to 2 hours doing it, but kind of fulfill, that need in a different way. So it's kind of a culmination of all of those things. Was really the driver behind Rochester Brainery.
That's so inspiring. If you were to give advice to somebody that says, I have this need where I am, what would you say?
I mean, I would say have a plan. And I would say, do it in a way that works for your schedule, that is not going to, make that interest of yours just create, become a frustration, right? I feel like so many people say, I have this interest, I have this passion, and I'm going to jump into this. And then all of a sudden it's not fun anymore. Or all of a sudden, it's just not working out the way that they envisioned. So, some people can leap right into it and that's great. And some people start slow and that is fine too. I worked full time for the first 3 years while I was opening Rochester Brainery and still freelance. So, for me, it was a bit more of a slower grow, and it's just what is going to work for you and your business and your needs and your customers or clients, and just really have some kind of a plan so you can kind of stay focused, and revisit that plan, from time to time, because you don't want to miss anything or miss any opportunities, or, miss saying, oh, this really isn't working, or I should change this, or I should focus on this. So it's really, just kind of, following that plan and then editing it as you go along. So that's kind of some of the advice that I would give. I know that's kind of all over the place and very broad, but, a business plan really helped me. Talking with other business owners really helped me. Asking questions. I love talking with new business owners who want to sit down and, have a quick conversation about, how should I go about doing this? Like, don't be afraid to reach out to the people who you think can kind of help you build your plan and achieve your goals.
That's great advice. And I think that so frequently we think that those people are too busy or that they wouldn't be interested in helping. But I have literally never had somebody say no. Like if I've asked for them to give me 5 minutes to talk about a specific question that I have, or if I have a specific thing where it's like, I'm really curious how you've gotten this following within our local organization. I've never had anybody be like, no, that's my secret sauce. Like literally never. But I think that's the fear going into it and saying, I don't know who I'd ask. And also, why would they talk to me?
Yeah, it's sometimes just reaching out, and I, like you said, I think most people are very receptive to helping. It doesn't hurt to ask. All they can say is no, and that's fine. But
yes,
in that's, I think, even a lesson as a business owner. Like you're going to have ideas, not even at the base level, like asking questions, but you're going to reach out to people that maybe you want to collaborate with. Maybe you want to do this or that with, and they might say no, or they might say yes. it's good practice and reaching out and talking to people in that sense. But all you can do is reach out, right? It's the best you can do. So give it a try.
Awesome. So in this podcast, we talk about the full range because life is not just about the work. So I'd love to know a little bit about who you are outside of all of these different hats that you wear.
Yeah. So outside of all these different hats that I wear, my work is a lot of my work is my hobby as well, which is I have a lot of crossover in that sense, but I love to cook. I love to go to local markets, and really my passion is singing. So I also, when I can, uh, do some local theater. So that is what a lot of what I am doing. If I am not on emails, I am probably doing one of those three things. Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you approach a market? This is something that I've been asking people that live all over the country right now. And it's really great to get to ask you because I can actually go to some of the markets that you're going to.
Yeah.
How do you approach it?
How do I approach it? So, I mean, for me, some people like to come up with a plan for the week, right? So meal planning is an important thing to do. And I am not going to sit here and say that that is something that I do every week, let alone every other week, or I maybe get it right 1 week a month. But what I like to do is I just like to go to the market and chat with people and see what looks good. And I definitely should have more of a plan of attack. But I find that especially this year, I found a few vendors at our local market that I'm especially like really enjoying their products and chatting with. And those are the people that I seem to go back to. And I just like to try new things. The market gets me to try new things. And I just really appreciate that about going.
I always find that I will get sucked in and just stop at, the first 5 or 6 stalls in the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I get to the mother of all organic, beautiful produce. And I'm like, oh, I bought the wrong zucchini. So I was talking to somebody the other day and she was like, you need to just walk the entire market first.
Yes.
And then get a coffee. Do your meal plan then, and then do your shopping. And I was like, oh, that is a brilliant idea and kind of an effort in self-care.
Yes, it really is. And that is part of why I like going to the market, is to go and grab a coffee and to maybe grab a little bite. Some of the local markets have like fun live music. I work a lot, and so I end up running into a lot of people at the market, which is nice. I get to, just randomly see people that maybe I haven't seen in a week or a month and whatnot. So that's always really nice. So it's like a social experience, and it's very relaxing for me. And I think some other people find it, relaxing too. But it's a good plan to like walk through the market, first and kind of see what you like, and then go from there.
Awesome. So I want to shift into this idea of, so you've got Upstate Social, you've got Rochester Brainery, you have all of these passion projects that are also work derivatives. What's your vision? What is it that you want?
Well, for me, I would like to keep on creating a space where people feel like they can come and share their ideas, meet new people. As we get older, I feel like sometimes it's difficult to meet new people. We're kind of like stuck in doing the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, those important things. And sometimes it's, difficult. So it's just, I want to create a comfortable learning social environment where you can come and meet people, where you can sit next to the person doing macrame with you and feel like you can have a conversation. And it's just like my favorite thing to hear that, a couple of students who took a class together have become friends. We have 2 friends, one that lives in Syracuse and one that lives in Buffalo, and they have come and met at our classes on the weekends because it's like halfway in between, and that makes me so happy. So for me, it's to keep on making those kinds of experiences. And then further to that, for me, like, I love Rochester. I know a lot of Rochesterians are very passionate about Rochester, and I am definitely in that camp. But for me, like in terms of Upstate Social, but then also Rochester Brainery, this idea, like we have so many interesting people here that are not just working on projects locally, but national, international projects, these really cool, interesting people that you might not know even live in Rochester. And what a unique opportunity for them to share what they know. In the social media world, we have lots of colleges, lots of marketing agencies working, doing really cool things. And just the idea that I can help create a space to just promote Rochester in this way and maybe draw people from across New York State to Rochester for a conference like that. I really love the idea of being able to be a part of that.
Awesome. And where can people learn more about Upstate Social, and when is the next event?
The next event is October 3rd and 4th. This is the 5th year, and it's 2 days this year. It's the first time we've done that. It's going to be at the Temple Building Theater in Center City, and you can get more info at upstatesocialsessions.com. There's a 2-day pass, a 1-day pass, and a student pass as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think with so many students and so many colleges in the Rochester area that have programs that are really aligned to the marketing needs of agencies today, it's great that you have a student offering and that we all get to learn regardless of where we're at in our careers.
Yeah, absolutely. Learning never stops.
It sure doesn't. Sure. I'm curious, what is a class that you've held at the Brainery that you thought, I don't know if this is going to work, but it ended up being a huge hit?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. I mean, we've had a lot of classes. My kind of motto, if you will, is like, and I'm interested in a lot of things, but for me, it's like, if I wouldn't have an interest in the class, like I might not, that's kind of would I want to take this class? That's kind of my thought process. It's like when you're posting something for social media, it's like, is this actually interesting? Will people get something from this? Like, what is the goal of this post? That's kind of like the class too. So I don't know that there's any necessarily that I would say, like, I don't know if people are gonna, there's been a few classes that we've had where I've booked Ryan, like, I hope people like this as much as I do, or is interested in this as much as I am. And so we do history happy hour classes, and I love the historical classes. And so we do history happy hour. We do that at a bar called Knox Cocktail with Maya Rook. She's a local historian, and she does everything from, the history of like Halloween and Thanksgiving to Freedomland USA, which it was a theme park for a short amount of time. Does all kinds of stuff. So that's really interesting. And I love that. Another class that, that has been actually super popular, and we run it every single month, is our improvisation workshop. And that is probably the workshop above any other classes where I talk to so many people, and they are always like, I've always wanted to take the improv workshop, but I've just been too nervous to do it. And it's just that, and that's what I hear, like more so than any other class. Like I hear about that one. And it's so nice because half the people in the class they're maybe experienced improvisers or actors, or, have some comedians, some experience in that realm at least. And then the other half of people have no experience. And it's just such a nice mix of support with each other. So I know that wasn't exactly what you asked, but yeah.
That's awesome. My husband is doing an improv class with a buddy of his from high school, and he is so excited about this.
Yeah.
He can't even contain it. And I feel like there's a real opportunity for people to step out of their comfort zone in just a taste testy kind of way.
Yeah, and everyone is so open and supportive in that class. Like if you, and you don't need to be funny. That's another thing about improv, that people think you have to go into improv and you have to be funny. You don't have to be, funny. It's fun. It does end up being funny half the time. Like I think that people really surprise themselves when they actually give it a shot.
Nice. I'm curious if you've ever been in a position between the Brainery and Upstate Social and your freelance business where you're like, I don't know if this is all working, because that's a lot to manage.
Yeah, all the time. No, there's certain parts of the year that are more busy than others. Fall is especially busy. This year, I am the director of social media for the Rochester Fringe Festival, which starts in a couple of days. And that has been so exciting. And then Upstate Social follows, and then we get into our busy season at Rochester Brainery. So fall is my busy time. It's my favorite season of the year. It's the season where I'm the most energized. So I'm like, great, throw all the things at me. Summer
Yeah.
is a little bit slower. So, it's a little bit more of a breather there. But yes, certainly all the time I'm trying to think, how can I best organize myself during these busy times and these slower periods? Because that's, always that's going to happen.
Yeah. What systems do you use?
So for me, I have a lot of lists going. I have a lot of to-do lists and things like that. And I, utilize, my email, I just about live on. But for me, what's really important for me is turning off my notifications and being and saying to myself, okay, this is when you're going to check things. So I am not overwhelmed all day long. My phone is not dinging at me constantly. So I manage my time in the sense of like, I'm not going to be pulled in 1,000 directions within the same 5 minutes because I need to be able to focus. So that has been really instrumental for me being able to just get things done. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to finish an email if I'm not, if I'm getting, so that has been kind of a lifesaver for me in terms of being able to focus and then managing my time to say, okay, this is when I'm going to get this done. Then I'm going to check this. Then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to take a break and check this. And that's been pretty helpful for me.
That's such a tactical and easy thing that we can all kind of dip our toes in the water of and say, okay, I'm going to just turn off notifications and see what can happen in the next 45 minutes.
Yes. And especially when you work in social media, you want to respond to customers as quickly as possible. But if you have your notifications off and you're still checking them once an hour or something, that's great response time. You're still going to be responding in a really good amount of time. I don't think it has hurt that customer service aspect by any means of not getting a notification about a tweet and responding to it right away. And I think that that's something that makes a lot of people nervous. Well, what if I miss this? I've never missed anything because I've had my notifications off. I'm still active.
Yes. I think that is the fear. And like, I think sometimes I found myself hesitant to turn off my notifications or to turn off Slack just because I don't want the perception to be that I'm not available.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if I don't get the work done because I'm always available, then I have done actually nothing of value.
Right. And for me as well, I think there's so many different ways that you can get a hold of people today. And social media is a great customer service platform. So what I'm going to say does not necessarily apply to that in particular, but when it comes to me and getting a hold of me, not getting a hold of my business, but getting a hold of me, I really drive people towards like emailing me. And if it's urgent, go ahead and call me because I'm always going to be available. I do always have my phone next to me, even if, all my social media notifications or whatever are not on all of the time, but I'm always available, from like one of those two ways. But if someone is messaging me on my personal Facebook and my personal Instagram and my email and everything, for me, it's a lot of different places. So for me, it's almost easier to have one or two things to kind of like, those are my like go-tos and what I can focus on. Again, business stuff aside, because I like to use all those platforms for customer service. But when it comes to personally getting a hold of me, I that's what I kind of lean towards.
That's great advice. And to set the expectation and say to people, hey, you're welcome to call me if something comes up. I might be working and have my notifications off.
Exactly. Like I am checking my Instagram accounts for all of the businesses throughout the day, but my personal stuff comes last because my brand is not a personal brand. If your brand is your personal brand, this might be a completely different conversation. But in my situation, my brand is not my personal brand necessarily. It's more about my business. So I am not checking my personal Instagram account every second of the day for a message, but I am checking my email. So that's, an expectation that I do try and set.
That's awesome. That's great tactical advice for people that are managing a lot of different things online and also have a personal life that they want to be reachable for.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of tools that are developed and come out that try and help people manage these different kinds of things. But I think that you do run the risk of every organization that you work with using a different one, and then you just have 30 inboxes that you need to check throughout the whole day. So it can get really tricky. So and you don't always have you don't always have say into what you're using necessarily, right? But it's like manage what you can and do what you can to make sure that you are not pulled in 1,000 directions, because then it makes it more difficult to focus.
Definitely. I definitely feel that. I mean, between my different clients, I'm on Slack, Asana, Rike, Microsoft Teams, Basecamp, Google, just Google Sheets,
Yeah.
Smart Sheets. And it's like, wow, this is just a tremendous amount to manage. I've decided that I'm planning my day for the next day, the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And I just communicate, here are my priorities for these different clients in the next 2 days. And if something needs to shift, please let me know.
Sure.
And that definitely helps, because when you are managing so many different toolboxes, you're like, where do I even start? To stay on top of it on a moment-to-moment basis is an impossible feat.
It really is. And I think that that's a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves. It's like you have 20 tabs open with 20 people trying to get a hold of you at once. You are not going to be able to respond to all of those people at the same time. So it's like, take that pressure off of yourself. Do the best you can while staying organized and doing a good job. Because if you're doing a good job and you get back to someone in 15 minutes instead of 5, I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker.
Definitely. Showing up and doing the good work, that will give you some leeway in your time to respond, for sure. Danielle, you're always taking great pictures on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I get to go on vacation with you, and I'm curious, like, if you have taken a thought about your own personal brand and how you present yourself, as you do lead so many different social accounts and you lead Upstate Social. Are you able to take your own advice? And I'll just going to put a little disclaimer in here. I kind of hope that you're not. And because I feel like it's really difficult to do. And I'd like to see your humanity.
Yeah, it is. And for me, I am really focused on my work all of the time. And for me, my personal life does so much so flow into my work life. And that doesn't work for everybody. Some people need that separation. But for me, they do. It is so much my passion. It's kind of what I do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. But like the thing of it is for me, it's like all of the things that I enjoy doing. So a lot of times you are seeing a lot of my business stuff on my personal accounts too. And that's not inauthentic and me just sharing it. It's like, it's stuff I'm genuinely jazzed about. And so that's a lot, of what I'm sharing on my personal stuff, because I'm just so involved with it and love it so much.
I want to talk about the Rochester Brainery Instagram channel for a second.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you take the pictures? Because so many times I'm talking to women and they're like, I take the pictures directly in Instagram, or I take the pictures with a digital camera and then I bring them into Lightroom and then I bring them into Instagram and I schedule everything. Like, what advice would you have for somebody that wants to have a really beautiful representation of their work on Instagram?
Yeah. So for all of our Rochester Brainery social media, I manage and plan, and I'm the customer service and everything for our social media channels. I do have a staff photographer that takes photos for during all of our classes and events and things like that. And she's kind of focused on representing the Brainery in that way and making sure that we have nice photos. Because for me, it's like a lot of people, sometimes we might have a class and a photo can make a huge, huge difference. Like we might have a photo of a class posted and it might be a necklace, and the necklace might just be kind of, blah, and the photo, but all of a sudden you put that project that necklace project on somebody in like a cute outfit or something. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, that's super cute. I would like to make that. So that is a really big focus for me, because I feel like it can truly make or break a class, especially when it's a project-based class. So Julia is our photographer, and she's wonderful, Julia Merrill. And she does take our photos for Rochester Brainery, and she does edit in Photoshop. And then we will, she'll send the photos, and then we'll get them all scheduled and posted to Rochester Brainery.
That is good to know. So this is not just happening with your iPhone, whatever. This is really curated and intentionally created.
Yes. What you see posted to our social media channels is intentional. It is curated. A lot of it is a little bit last minute in our business, because if we have a brush calligraphy class, I do not have photos from that particular brush calligraphy class until it happens. So we are getting those photos and then probably posting them the next day. With that said, we use Instagram stories a lot. We are posting to our feed probably once a day. We are posting to our Instagram stories a ton. So for example, this morning I went live and did a full update on like what's going on with the business. And then later today we'll end up posting Instagram stories from our classes. So those are more in the moment. Those aren't, necessarily curated and put together in the way that our feed would be, because those are a little bit more behind the scenes.
Gotcha. How important do you think it is to be active on Instagram story as a business owner?
I think that Instagram stories just opens up a whole lot of opportunity to get a little more messy, if you will. It doesn't need to be as perfect. It doesn't need to be as curated. Not that you should have like, the look of your Instagram feed ends up being a little bit more of your brand look and feel, and your Instagram stories should feel like that too. But you can just get a little bit more, like the photos, your video and photos, it doesn't have to be as high quality and nice. That's not expected on Instagram stories. It can be quick if you're in an event. You can talk to people. You can do just a lot on Instagram stories that can be engaging in a totally different way than your Instagram feed is. So I do think that businesses should be utilizing Instagram stories, just in the way that works best for their business. You can ask questions, you can go live, you can get feedback. I use it for feedback all of the time when I'm like thinking about doing something new or wondering if something is working. I mean, what other great way than to just ask the people who are looking at your stories directly?
That is such an amazing insight. And just so and it's one of those things where it's like, why didn't I think about doing that? But yeah, you got somebody's attention at Instagram story. Why don't you just ask your person directly? And the same way you would ask for advice directly.
Right. It's, there's certainly so many best practices and articles and research and things that you can look into, and that is great. But at some point, your audience is your unique audience. So if you have a hunch that something might work, go ahead and ask them and just double check.
Yeah. You just mentioned resources and, experts and things. Who do you look to and what do you read to help stay on top of such an ever-evolving landscape of social media?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get like a variety of newsletters that like in the morning, I'm always checking like Social Media Today. I definitely am always like reading their newsletters and think that they have great updates. So it's just, I've signed up for like a bunch of those kinds of newsletters that I think are really helpful, and, we'll kind of say like Instagram's testing this or Facebook's testing this or this new feature was added, and just kind of staying updated on those. And then, the platforms themselves have like different learning tools and channels where they're updating you and kind of trying to stay on top of that as well. I mean, these social media platforms are changing almost on a daily basis. And if there's a new feature to be used, try it out. You want to know that it's available to you. You want to know all of your options. So it's nice to stay on top of that.
I've got one more pretty technical question about social media. And that is, What do you use to measure the effectiveness of your social media? I have a bunch of people, and I know a number of listeners that are listening to this, and they're spending a lot of time on social media, but there's no return on that investment in time, at least immediately. And I'm curious how you track and measure the impact.
Sure. Well, definitely something that I am always looking at, which is kind of a short-term thing, is just really using the in-app insights. So what time should I be posting today? That kind of, when are my when are the people who like my page or follow me? Like when are they online? When am I perhaps going to be able to reach the most eyes, which changes on a day-to-day basis. On a Wednesday, it might be at noon. At a Friday, it might be at 9 p.m. So I use a lot of those in-app insights to kind of just give me a good starting point. I also use a platform called Upstate Social, which gives you a lot of really great insights to how things are doing. And for me, I look a lot at our Google Analytics to see really where people are coming to our website from. And, for Rochester Brainery, for example, Facebook by far drives the most traffic to our website. So while we might have more people commenting on Instagram or sending, more people posting about being in class, more user-generated content coming from Instagram directly. I know that more people are purchasing classes because of Facebook. So I'm really going to be focusing on making sure know what new classes are becoming available on Facebook, and driving people to the website on Facebook. And then on Instagram, where they're really there just to see, they're not there just to see the projects, but a lot of people really look to Instagram to kind of see what we're up to and that kind of thing. So we're posting more projects and things that are going on Instagram. People are staying in touch and keeping updated with us that way. So that kind of helps me all mold, what I'm sharing and how, and then a little bit of the when as well.
Awesome. Those are great resources. Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into the lightning round of questions, I'm curious, is there anything that you wanted to talk about today that we haven't gotten to?
I don't think so. I think that I loved all your questions, and just kind of in the same realm of, what we had talked about too. Like, if anybody has any questions, I love connecting with people. So I'm always happy to answer more.
Awesome. Why don't we start with where people can find you to ask those questions?
Yes. So Rochester Brainery, you can go to rochesterbrainery.com. info@rochesterbrainery.com is our email address. That goes direct to me. On Instagram and Twitter, I am at D2TheRaymo, Raymo is how you spell my last name. So that is my personal on Twitter. But, on Rochester Brainery, that goes to me as well. So I'm always happy to answer questions either way.
Awesome. All right, lightning round.
Okay.
What is your go-to jam to up your energy?
There's a lot. It's more what soundtrack. So it's musicals, any show tunes. I put on a show tune playlist.
Nice. What time do you wake up?
7 a.m.
What does breakfast look like?
Breakfast is probably an English muffin with peanut butter and a large coffee.
Nice. What is a favorite ritual?
My favorite ritual, I love a good face mask and a little bit of time with Netflix before going to bed.
What's in your Netflix queue?
Oh my gosh, what is in my Netflix queue? What am I watching? I'm always watching Schitt's Creek constantly.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
It's so good. I've seen every episode too much.
I've consumed it so frequently, and I've got to tell you, the version of that Patrick sings to.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Spotify, and it's so good.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to add that to my.
It is so good. And it's just like, it just brings me back to such nice, loving thinking and just outpouring. Like, it just makes my day every time I listen to it.
It's so fun. Yeah, that's such a good show.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I am a morning person.
What is a book you've recommended the most?
I say the podcast I've recommended the most because I
Yeah.
listen to more podcasts than read books, and I love reading. Don't get me wrong, but I listen to far more podcasts. I do a lot of walking and listening. This American Life.
Nice. What can someone do to help you feel appreciated?
That is a very good question. I mean, for me, it's just, oh gosh, that's one that I don't really have a good answer to. Someone to help me feel appreciated. Gosh, I don't know. I just love hanging out with a friend and sitting down and having a nice conversation and spending some quality time together.
Quality time.
Quality time.
You can learn so much about somebody, about how they feel appreciation.
Sure.
You know, some people need a tangible something that says, oh, you put in physical effort, and some people want the quality time. It's very in line with the love languages.
Sure. I've been heard a lot about, and I need to do more research on the love languages.
It will shape how you interact with the people that you truly care about. It will. It's a good book.
Yeah, I'll have to add that to my list. Thank you.
Yeah. Danielle, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to share you and the Rochester Brainery with our listeners.
Thank you so much.